Have you ever noticed how the world is full of accents? Some are seen as charming, like the French or Italian accent. Others, not so much. For a long time, the Malaysian English accent, often called Manglish, was one of those that got a bit of a bad rap. People would poke fun at its unique rhythm, its LAs and lows. But here is a story about how that very accent went from being mocked to being in high demand, all thanks to the airline industry. Let's rewind a bit. For decades, the gold standard for airline cabin crew announcements was either a crisp British accent or a clear American one. Think about it, the classic, "This is your captain speaking." It sounded professional, authoritative. In this world, regional accents, especially from Asia, were often seen as less polished. Maybe even harder to understand for international travelers. The Malaysian accent, with its blend of English, Malay, Chinese dialects, and Tamil, was definitely not what you'd hear on a flight to Paris or London. It was often stereotyped and seen as informal. Something you'd hear at a coffee shop in Kuala Lumpur, but not at 30,000 feet. This perception created real barriers. Many aspiring Malaysian flight attendants felt they had to change how they spoke. They would practice for hours, trying to flatten their intonation and drop the LAs to sound more international. It was a common belief that to get hired by a prestigious European airline, you had to shed your linguistic identity. The message was clear. Your accent isn't good enough. This wasn't just about communication. It was about a cultural hierarchy where Western accents were placed at the top. But then, something started to shift. The world of aviation began to change dramatically. The rise of budget airlines and the explosion of global tourism meant that more people were flying than ever before. European airlines in particular were expanding their routes, especially into Asia, a booming market for travel. Suddenly, they weren't just flying Europeans to other European cities. They were flying people from all over the world. This created a new challenge. They needed cabin crew who could not only serve drinks and ensure safety, but also connect with an increasingly diverse passenger base. An all-European crew might struggle to understand the cultural nuances and linguistic needs of passengers from Asia. And that's when the tables started to turn for our Malaysian accent. Airlines began to realize that what they once saw as a weakness was actually a huge strength. Malaysian cabin crew were often multilingual, speaking fluent English, Malay, and frequently Mandarin, Cantonese, or Tamil. This was a massive advantage. On a flight from London to Kuala Lumpur with a stopover in Dubai, a Malaysian crew member could effortlessly switch between languages, helping a British tourist, a Malaysian family, and a group of Chinese business travelers, all in the span of a few minutes. Their English, the very Manglish that was once mocked, was perfectly clear and understandable to a global audience. But more importantly, it came with a cultural fluency that you just can't teach in a training manual. They understood the politeness, the indirect communication styles, and the specific needs of Asian passengers. This created a more comfortable and welcoming environment on board. Suddenly, European airlines started actively recruiting in Malaysia. We're talking about major carriers, the big names in the industry. They weren't just looking for one or two people. They were hiring by the thousands. Recruitment drives in Kuala Lumpur and Penang became huge events, drawing massive crowds of hopefuls. These airlines weren't asking them to change their accent anymore. In fact, they were celebrating their linguistic skills. The very thing that was once a source of insecurity was now a golden ticket. This shift had a profound impact. For the individuals who were hired, it was life-changing. It was a chance to travel the world, earn a great salary, and represent their country on a global stage. But it did more than that. It was a huge confidence boost for an entire nation. The message changed from "your accent is wrong" to "your accent is valuable." It also challenged the old-fashioned, Eurocentric view of what professional sounds like. Professionalism isn't about having a specific accent. It's about being clear, competent, and empathetic. The success of Malaysian cabin crew proved that you could be all of those things while still sounding like yourself. You could still use LA and be a world-class flight attendant. Think about the ripple effect. Young Malaysians watching these crew members in their sharp uniforms, confidently speaking with their natural accents, felt a sense of pride. It showed them that they didn't have to erase their identity to succeed on the world stage. It was a powerful lesson in self-acceptance and cultural pride. This story isn't just about airlines and accents. It's a bigger story about globalization and the changing dynamics of our world. As our world becomes more interconnected, the things that make us different, our languages, our cultures, our accents, become more valuable, not less. The ability to bridge cultural gaps is now one of the most sought-after skills. The journey of the Malaysian accent from being a punchline to a prized asset is a perfect example of this. It shows that what one culture might dismiss, another might see as a superpower. The next time you on a flight and you hear an announcement in an accent that's different from your own, whether it's Malaysian, Singaporean, Indian, or Nigerian, remember this story. That accent is not just a way of speaking. It represents a bridge between worlds, a wealth of cultural knowledge, and a story of how our differences can become our greatest strengths. So, the world learned a valuable lesson. It learned that talent and professionalism come in all accents and all languages. And for thousands of Malaysians soaring through the skies, they proved that being yourself is not just good enough. It's exactly what the world needs. Thank you so much for watching. You found this story interesting? Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had an experience where your accent was a topic of conversation? Share your story with us. Until next time, take care.